right, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing good out there. Can you hear me okay? Let's just do a quick audio check here. Make sure you guys got me on live there. All right. See the picks coming in. That's good. All right, good. A little delay, but okay. I think we're okay. All right, good. All right, so welcome everybody to Stock Analysis Friday. We're going to be here about 30 minutes, sometimes a little longer, depending on the picks. And the purpose of Stock Analysis Friday is for me to look up stocks that are interesting to you and give you an analysis on that based on the art software and so forth. All right, so let me go through some administrational items first. And the first thing, of course, I have to talk about are the risks involved in trading the markets. I think we all realize there are risks in the markets, but it's always important to take that seriously. Always use risk control. Always trade with money you can afford to risk, called risk capital. And try to stay away from impulsive trading or revenge trading in the markets. That's usually a big problem for most traders. And it can take quite a bit of time to get over that emotional response to the market. So always keep working on that. I've got a couple of books on risk control, money management, and psychology that can certainly help you. Also, too, let me just put a link up here for our Discord channel. You know, our Discord channel is free. So you can, you actually have access to that. And so definitely you should join that because I put a lot of free information up there. You can interact with other art traders, etc. So definitely check that out, okay? All right, and then finally on the risk control situation, past performance doesn't guarantee future performance. And when we talk about trading in the financial markets, we're always talking about probabilities, not certainties. I think that's important as well. All right, so just keep that kind of in mind as we go through stocks and so forth. I'm going to put a link up for the books, okay? If that interests you, you can go to our book page and check those out. I would recommend the new Art of Trading book because I try to put a lot of information in there that's pertinent to today's environment. It just came out last year. And also, too, there's information on not only Elliott Wave, the art software, but also risk control in that book as well. So you can certainly check that out on your own. All right, now, I also want to just go through a couple other things here. And the art software certainly is something you may want to look into. We've got a lot of videos on that. I did a couple YouTubes on it recently in our Saturday specials workshops. So you can check out how it works along with all the indicators, etc. And then also, too, remember to help the channel out by giving us a subscribe. We've done really well. We've gotten 5,000 new subscribers literally in the last, I think, 60 days. So we're starting to get around, and I want to thank everybody for giving us a like because that certainly helps. All right, this is another important thing. This is called the Moore Report. Some of you I know here, I can see you here that have already joined that. If you have any comments you want to put on that, feel free to do so other people can see how you like it. But basically what we do is we give you an update on the actual major indexes, which include the Dow, NASDAQ, S&P, etc. Each and every week. It's accompanied by a written report with stock picks as well, and also a video that's updated every Sunday. That way you can start the week basically hitting the market, so to speak. All right, and also, too, Saturday trading education workshops on the second Saturday of each month. They are at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. All right, so we had a little bit of a snafu on the actual times, but this is the official time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can certainly check that out. And then also, too, the new price action home study course, very popular. I want to appreciate all the emails we've been getting on that. If you're interested in that, I'll put a link up on that. And it's all about, you know, fair value gaps. We touch on basically how to trade those. We you know, sweeping liquidity, things of that nature are all in that course. So you may want to check that out. All right, so that's kind of the administrational items out of the way. And let me just go ahead. I'm going to jump right in to actual stocks for today. So let's start out. Let's see, Ed, I think you're the first one this week, so welcome. All right, NTLA. Let's check it out. Potential long buys. Okay. Okay, this actually is looking really good, Ed. I'm liking this a lot. And I'm thinking here, we looked at it a little bit before we came down. Let me just widen this up here. And so you can see it better. Take that off there. All right, so basically, let me get my pointer up here too. There it is. Okay. All right, so got a nice move off this retracement here. Green PTFs here and here. For those of you not familiar with this indicator called a PTF, which stands for Precision Trend Filter, this basically indicates the probability of whatever the highest high is in the green area of that indicator. There's a 75% probability that we will reach the high that was created when that indicator turned green. So basically, more highs coming is the way we read that. And so that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm liking it. Okay, I think we're moving off the bottom. We got a couple pyramids here. We are out of the channel that we were in. So when those pyramids got hit, that was basically after the channel. So I'm kind of liking that a lot. The target is 28 bucks and 20 cents. So on that one, I would say that's a go. Okay. So that's NTLA. You want to put your stop as low. I would put your stop at least at the bottom of this first pyramid on the daily chart on the left here. So in terms of charts, this is the daily. This is the weekly. So on this one here, you'd want to put your stop right about here. Okay. And I'm kind of liking, you had a nice fair value gap off the bottom, and that was kind of got filled and then retraced again. And I'm liking it. Yep, I think the correction is over and we should head up from here. So that looks good. Let's go IREN for our next one. Again, a potential long buy here. Again, another beauty, okay? Nice and clear. We got PTF indicating a target at 76.79. We're at 56.07. I think we can even do better on that target with a fib extension that's fairly clear here, I would say. Let's see what it looks like here. Yeah, possibly up to 97.37. All right, so this is calling for 76.79 with a 75% probability, and this one here is putting it right about there, but we have all this area to go here. So wave count here, Elliott wave 3, 4, 5. This is a 3, still unfolding. The reason why it's still unfolding is there's no red owl yet. You do not have a wave 4 on that time frame until you have a red owl. So you have it here. This indicates wave 4, wave 5. You can almost count on a really clear Elliott wave. You can count the waves using the owl. Okay, it's that simple. So basically, this is our target with the PTF weekly indicating here. So that's another buy. Okay, I'm liking it a lot. I'll talk about where the stop should be in just a moment. All right, that's IREN. And let's go ahead and erase that and take a look here. I would say your stop's got to be below this area here, pyramid trading point there. All right, and that is right at 42, basically 01 there, okay? So not so bad. In fact, what we may see forming here is a breakaway fair value gap next week after IREN closes next week, okay? All right, good. Let's take a look at your other one here, STRL. Ed, you're 2 for 2 today. Hitting it out of the park. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, very similar. Nice big move up here. Boy, look at those pyramids on that wave 3. Caught that move beautifully up, all the way up. not stopped out until you got to this pyramid right here. So that first one broke the channel, broke out there at 148, and your stop would have been at 326. Not too shabby, huh? 100% return on that. All right, so now let's see what's going to unfold here. All right, based on basically that other one we looked at, we got a 3. What's this one here? 4. All right, so if we go positive, then we're in 5, so that would be a 3. All right, 4, and this is no red down here, but a 3, so still 3 unfolding. So when you count like that, an Elliott wave, you have basically the lower time frame looking at the waves inside the higher time frame, in this case, wave 3. All right, so just like the other one. All right, so no PTF to help us here. Okay, they're yellow. So we have to arrange our targets based on purely the actual fib extension. So let's take a look at that. All right, now a couple of things I do want to point out here. So the target here is around 482 to 606. Now, for those that want to be really careful and confirmed, you want to wait for this owl to be green. And that's usually a higher probability indication that we have begun wave 5. Sometimes when you jump the gun on getting in a little too early, what happens is you get this and then it goes. So you may have a little bit more of a red and then it turns green and you might have to get another low on that. If there's any clues, you know, like we look now for fair value gaps at the breakaway, and we had one small one here, and we got one here, one here, one here. It looks pretty good to me. And I'm trying to see if there's any bearish ones over here. No. So I think we're in pretty good shape on this. And I think this looks like a go too. 3 for 3. Good job. So let's just see what we're going to go on the stop on this one. I would put the stop under this low here. Okay. All right. And again, you could wait for a pullback, possibly a pyramid forming, or wait for the green. But I think this has all the makings of more highs coming. I don't think you're going to get much more of a pullback simply because I think you're in pretty good shape here. Okay. All right. So that's all 3 potential longs, all 3 good ones. Good job. All right. All right. So let's see here. Kumar, how are you, Kumar? All right, let's see. Looking for a long entry, TSM. Let's take a look. TSM. Let's see what we got cooking here. All right, on this one, Kumar, we're definitely moving up. The problem is that we're probably a little extended at this point. So again, when I look at something like this, do you want to get in here or would you rather get in down here? Here, right? The problem is the higher the market goes, the more extended and mature it gets, the more you have to be careful for a significant pullback, right? And you have bearish divergence here, okay? So you're probably already in 5. You're still in 3 here. But you see those other ones we looked at, we were getting in here at the beginning of 5. Here, you're getting in a little late after, towards the end of 5. So that makes it, to me, a no-go, okay? Are you going to get more highs? It's possible, but it's a little bit, you want to kind of try to find a better entry point on those. Let's take a look at the next one, ASML. Oop. Helps to type it in correct. Okay, so here we have this one, same similar thing to this, just a little extended. And what could happen here, and it looks like it's close to happening, is if the owl here on the daily chart keeps going up, then it will be higher than this owl. So this wave 3 will then rotate over to here, okay? That technically hasn't happened yet, but it looks like it's going to. So keep an eye on that for sure. And again, what we also like to keep in mind is when you have a bunch of pyramids in a row, all right, you don't want to exceed 4 of those pyramids. So in this case here, you're getting a nice breakout on the weekly chart, but you might get a pullback at any time. Okay, so you got to be a little bit careful here. I think if you were going to go long here, I think your stop has got to be really low, because at this particular point, you could certainly get a pullback into this fair value gap area here. So, that's down around 1,047. Okay. And then the question comes is, where's the target? All right. You also have this area on the owl not yet exceeding the previous here. So this will be kind of interesting. I think it will. I think this will turn into a wave 3, and then it will be interesting. Let's take a look at it next week, but I would wait for any pullback, and then I think you could go long, but I would not go long here. I think I'd wait for a pullback. All right. I just don't like, my psychology is I don't like to go into a market that's making all-time highs and hasn't had a pullback but looks like it's due for one. Okay. That's my only thing with that. All right. UPS. And then the problem is you got to put your stop so far away that it becomes a little more difficult. All right. So this one, okay. This one is better. Okay. And what's better about it is that we have a situation here where we've had a pullback on the weekly, and what we're seeing on the daily is the move off the bottom. So that's okay. All right. So that's a good sign. And let's see if we took out equity here. And that low there is 82. And that low there is exactly 82. So we technically didn't wash out or sweep it. All right. So that is a little bit concerning. We did get above the bullish fair value gap here. So I think our next area will be up in this area here. So, all right, now let's see what we got here. Well, I wish they swept this equity. It would have made it a lot easier. All right, so here's the thing. If you wanted to go long, there's no reason not to, okay? You've got a green PTF. Your stop is going to be right at the equity area. I mean, you can put it at the pyramid, but for here, if it's at the very bottom, you could become liquidity if it decides to come back down again. All right. But with that said, it is a legitimate trade, and it may get them to before it returns and goes back down, you could see quite a bit of profit on this. Okay. So I'm not going to put this down as a buy, simply because at this particular point, it's got some fair value gaps that it's got to get over, right? This one here. And then you got another one up here. All right. And then let me just see here. And that's on the weekly chart. Got a little bit of a breakaway one there. Let me go down to the daily and see how that's looking. All right. So you filled that fair value gap. You filled that one, that one, that one. Yeah, I would say let's bring this one back next week. And I want to see it get over this at least bearish fair value gap, this first one, because you could still get a reversal down from here. Okay. Let's take a look at Apple, your next one. Okay. All right. So Apple's still retracing. We're looking for it to get into the fib retracement area, and we should see some stability right around in here. So this would be my buy zone here, right around 244 to 250. And I would look for it to see if it can find or sweep equity here and then go back up. Okay. So put this one on the watch list for next week. Okay. I'm writing these down as well. Okay, good one. All right. So Ed's back. Ed, are you going to make it 6 for 6 now? Let's see. All right. Potential long buys. UNFI. Ed is batting 1,000 here. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. Green PTFs. I think I like the other ones better. All right. But this isn't bad. So the only thing with the PTF here is that it's telling you it's going to 43.36. We're at 34.88. So it's going to breach this high right here. You've had a nice pullback. And let's just see, it's a messy market, right? So if you're doing a PTF trade, this is actually ideal for it. So I would even put I know you have a pyramid here, but I put your stop at 37.7, just under here, 30. Let's just say what the low is on that. Let me just grab all right, low is 30.91. So you want that a little bit lower than that. All right, you want your stop right in that area, probably 30.60 or 62, right around in there. All right, and I take profits at 43.17. So I would consider this a short scalp trade to the PTF high. So I will put that down as a buy for that, okay? And that should reach up there pretty soon. So that should be a fairly quick swing trade. SOUN. SOUN, I believe, is an AI company, and all the AI companies got really beat badly lately. So if we take a look at that, all right, I'm starting to see a bottom forming here, but we need to give it more time. All right. So I'd like to wait it out a little bit longer on this one. All right. We have a fair value gap here. I'd like it to break this high again. All right. Before I consider a long trade on that. So let's bring this one back next week. SOUN. All right. So let's go to spot, SPOT. All right, it's not turned around, but this is an excellent one to keep an eye on here, okay? So what I like about stocks like this and why I like to put them on a watch list is because they're retracing, and I like to look for the retracement. So Kumar, this is kind of what I'm talking about. I don't want to be buying up here because I want to be patient and wait for the retracement. And yeah, sometimes when you're patient, it could go a little higher, but this is going to pay dividends if you're patient and can wait for that pullback. All right, let's do a little bit more analysis on this and see exactly what we think is going to be the pullback area on this. I think I'm going to draw my retracements from 2 to 3, and we're going into the target range now. So what we want to take a look at is we're kind of getting into that order block area. We have another one under here. Okay, so we should find support in this area here. All right, so let's see. There's an outside chance we may go into this fair value gap under it, which lies right in here, right below it. Okay, so that zone there. I would imagine it could sweep into here and then head on back up. So again, watch list on this one, really good. Also, too, we'll watch the daily chart for the turnaround. And, you still got a trend down on that chart, pretty strong trend down. So we kind of want to keep an eye on that. All right, so let's wait for this to bottom and turn around, bring it next week, and it'll be a great trade. Okay? All right, let's keep going here, see what else we got cooking. All right. All right, let's see. Long, beautiful. All right, let's take a look at these. BATH. So these are all possible longs, I'm assuming, and we'll take a look and see what we think here. All right, no long trade yet, okay? We have not had a reversal back to the upside yet. Got a couple things here going in our favor for a long trade. We got a bullish, nice bullish fair value gap here, all right? We want to make sure we see some rejection from that. It's gone below consequent encroachment already. So we got to keep an eye on that. But that's okay. Sometimes they do that. The stronger the move up, the less that they'll go below that. But as long as they reject at some point before closing below, that's A-okay. Also, too, on the daily chart, we've got a green PTF still. And you can see also even on this chart, we have a very large fair value gap that we've dug into quite a bit. But what's interesting here, all right, let's draw that out. Okay, so you've really almost, you see, you rejected that. Okay, check that out. All right, you've rejected that right there. Okay, so that's kind of interesting that it did that. So that may be a sign it's heading back up. But let's hold off a little bit longer on that and see what happens with that. So let's put that on our watch list as well. Okay, that's path. Good. All right, ARRY. All right. New low, we swept equity there. The stock goes back to just 2021. We're still kind of a little bit on the range bound area. We broke out here, fell back into the range. Let me just order candle. All right, let's see what we got here. You can see the pyramids here on the daily chart highlighting the range right there. So wait on this one. I'm not really crazy about it at this point, and I'm not going to put it on the watch list, but you can bring it back next week when you come, and we'll take another look at it. Let's go to RFIL. Okay, you missed this one. This one already took off. That's a hard one to catch, all right? So at this case here, all right, obviously some good news came out on this, so this thing is just skyrocketing this week. All right, so we don't even have, we have a PTF that's green here, but that's not helping us much. That's the high of basically today. We've had spikes on this before, and then it's settled back in. So I would wait another week or so and see what kind of fair value gap we form in here. And then I'd wait for it to come back and fill the fair value gap. Or if it's a breakaway fair value gap, wait for a basically market maker buy model entry on a no-fit, okay? So then you can go in from long there. But for right now, I would hold off on this, okay? All right, and then MVST. All right, this one's pretty good here, okay? So on this one here, you can see we've looked at it before. You have two green PTFs, like that. You're coming off a pull to the downside, liking that. All right, so again, you know, on these spikes up, which is kind of why I wasn't recommending the last one, is you can get these big spikes up and then you can get a pullback. And if you're trading this, you're going to get stopped out. You know, if you're one of these guys that just buys it and is going to hold it forever, then it really doesn't matter if it pulls back because you're not watching it. But if you're trading it, you're going to be watching it. All right, and you're going to have a stop in place. All right, couple things to look at here. All right, I'm going to remove that trend line. We still got a little bit of a red PTF here. Okay, what could go wrong with a long trade here? All right, the main thing here that we have is a bearish fair value gap. I'd like to get over that. So far, it's rejected it. Okay, so we got to be careful here. On the plus side, we've got over here on the daily chart a bullish one. But look what happened. It closed below it. Okay, so that's bearish. We have one more here. Okay, that I would like to see rejected. I would like to see prices get above it, close above it, not wick above it. A wick is manipulation. We want to see a close above it. All right, so I'm not going to recommend that. We could go down a little bit further. I want to see if we're going to have this order block hold on the weekly chart here. Because if it doesn't hold here, then they're going to sweep this low here. I would imagine they're going to sweep in here, take this out here, and then we can look for possibly a move up at that time. So bring this one back next week because it may sweep that low and give us another opportunity. All right, but no go for right now, okay? And then your last one, RIVN. We'll check that one. All right, another nice pullback here, green PTF over there. Okay, so keep an eye on this one. And basically what we want to look at is this downtrend that's really apparent on both time frames to not be heading down. I mean, you got a very bearish bar on the weekly chart. You've got a bearish trend in place here. All right, we closed below the little fair value gap here. And so now we're going to see if we're going to take out equity here, okay? So we'll have to see. Sometimes these wicks here, after they've gone into a previous fair value gap, which was here, okay, so this has been fairly mitigated already. Okay, that would have been a nice trade, that rejection off there. So now I'll have to see, and let me just do one more drawing here. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Give me 1 second. Okay, so let's see if sometimes long wicks act very similar to fair value gap. So let's see if we get rejection off the encroachment here, consequent encroachment on this wick. So if we don't, then it's going to take it out. Okay, so no go on this one. All right, and Stu is here with Merck, MRK. All right, so let's see what we got here on Merck. We got bullishness in place on the weekly. We got bullishness in place on the daily. So I'm not sure, Stu, if you're in this one already or you are looking to get in it. We do have a little bearish divergence building in the owl, but that can last quite some time. And that bearish divergence apparent here as prices go up. All right, so that's kind of a sign of a mature trend. What I would do if you're in this one, you can put your stops at the pyramids. You can draw a trend line as well. All right. Sometimes when they break a trend line after they've been going up for quite some time and you have bearish divergence, not a bad place to scale out and then put the rest of your stops on the pyramid, okay? We don't have any PTFs to help us here. All right, so there we have that. Let's see if we have anything on the weekly chart that could impede the move up. Not really. I don't see any fair value gaps of significance here. And maybe one little one here, but one bigger one up here. But you have a few, so you might get a pullback here. I would not be buying into this now. I would instead hold it, okay? And then let's take a look at STZ. All right, STZ, good, good, good. Let's see. All right. So let me just mark this. There's your major sell side liquidity right here. Okay. So this is an area here where there's a lot of stops sitting. And there's a lot of shorts. So there's liquidity here, okay, right here. You took out liquidity here, but the question is, are they going to back it down and then take it out? I would, because if I was a large institution, I could fill a good set of buy orders there. All right, so that is the only thing that I find a little devious. And make no mistake about it, the markets are not designed to be fair, okay? They're designed to manipulate. All right, so let's see what we got here. We do have bullish fair value gaps up for this trend here. Let me just see if there is anything here. All right, we have here and here, okay? All right, so you've had a nice pattern as identified by the pyramid trading point, and that pattern, as we like to see that for a buy, right? So you've got that in there. So I'd like to get above this fair value gap, bearish one here. I do not want to see rejection, another low, and take it out here. So when I look at something like this and I see a major sell side liquidity just under, fairly close to where they went down before, you have to be careful that this is not an engineered second tier liquidity. In other words, people going long here, and guess where their stops are here, okay? So you've got long-term stops here, and then you've got engineered stops here. You got to get above here, okay, before you consider a long here. So at this particular point, this is where you can use price action, which is in that course I was telling you about, and software. Software is telling you to go long. Price action is saying, okay, you might want to wait for confirmation above here. That's how you use the two together, okay? So on this one, all right, I'm going to not recommend it as a buy, but I'm going to put it down as a watch list to see if we get above here, okay? That would be the first thing to watch for, okay? And we're starting to see a little rejection inside here, so you got to be careful with that. All right, excellent. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, that's just my psychology, Kumar. You don't want to FOMO, fear of missing out, into trades, and the markets are designed to create that. Okay, that's how they get everybody sucked into a position before it turns around. So you always have to be careful of that. All right, anything else? Going once, going twice. All right, let's go over. I think that's it. All right, let's go over a couple of the ones we found today. Okay, so let me just grab my list here and I'll just read them off here. Okay, so we've got NTLA. All right, and I think all of these basically are from you this week. So then we have IRENSTRL, UNFI. So those are the ones that are good. On the watch list, we got UPS, Apple, all right, SOUN, SPOT, PATH, PATH, MUST, and STZ. Okay, so those are on the watch list. So try to bring those back next week so we can check those out. All right. So I want to thank everybody for coming. Give us a like, and we'll see you back here next week. I'll put a little music on, and you guys have a great weekend and a great week. And the fact that we found 4 good ones indicates the market is still moving up. So enjoy the ride, so to speak. All right, we'll see you back here next week. Have a great one, everybody. Oh, whoa, I see some more coming in late. Okay, let me get to those. Let me kill the music here for a minute. All right, let's see. Constants, let's see. SLB. All right, so let's take a look at these. Meant to buy it on at 38 in December, missed it. And yeah, you don't want to FOMO into this. And we still got a red PTF here. So wait for the pullback. So constant come back, keep an eye on it and wait for the pullback. All right. You might, let me just see here. Might go a little bit higher, but I don't want you to chase this. I would not. Okay. And let's take a look at your next one, HYG. All right, red PTF on the daily would make me not buy this one. Okay. That's the only thing on that one. All right. Ed's back with one more FICO. I think YouTube was delayed a little bit. Okay. Which is why these came up kind of late. All right. So actually FICO on the weekly chart looks pretty decent. I think it is pulling back. I wouldn't go into it yet, but let's just take a look and see. We retraced already into here. We got a green PTF. We got everything working good here. All right. So you've got kind of I'm almost tempted to do this. You've got almost a pennant. And I got to tell you, pennants are pretty powerful. I mean, I caught silver on a nice pennant too. So they can be, back when it was like 26, 27, broke out of a pennant. And that was a good trade. All right, couple things on this. Green PTFs are indicating, okay, when this pullback is done and it starts to move up, we should break this high. So the target is way up here at the top. But if you look at the daily chart, we have a trend down and you can see the pyramids. But again, here, okay? So what I would do is we're going to put this one on the watch list, all right, and come back and see how that looks. Now, if you are in this trade already and you have two green PTFs and it hasn't hit your stop, then you just continue to hold it, okay? But as far as a potential long, not yet. Could it be in a week or so? Sure, okay? And Stuart's saying, yes, he's in Merck. Okay, good. All right, and also long STZ. Fine, okay. Oh, Kumar. All right, Tesla. All right, Tesla is one that I recommended scaling out on this one. Okay, I think basically the big move up on Tesla was this leg up, and we took out equity here, and so now we're at a point here where we're seeing bearish divergence. We may have a little bit more movement up on it, but the PTF has just turned yellow. All right. And we kind of got out of that. So if you put your stop here or here, all right, that will keep you in the trend up if it continues to go further. So, technically speaking, it's technically still in an uptrend, right? Okay. It has not changed structure yet. Not until it starts taking out this low here. This really is where structure is right here. Okay. So if it takes this out and we get a bearish fair value gap at that point, then we're probably looking to trade to the short side on the fill of that fair value gap. My other thing on this one here is we have a breakaway, might have a breakaway fair value gap. And if you notice here, we swept equity by just a hair. Okay. So all the requirements are setting up for this to be a short trade, not a long trade. Okay. So I would put my stop here and here. All right. Because if it takes out this, especially this low here, then we have a strong chance of a break in structure. In other words, change in trend to the downside. I would not be buying here, okay? But since you're in it already, if you are in it already, that's how I would just monitor the position. I would not let it go below here at the very worst, okay? I'd probably have my stop here. And hopefully I've been in it long enough. I had one client here that I coach that we got in really well, and he's just exiting now. So anyway, you got to be careful on those, okay? All right, Constance is back with SLB. And HYG. Also, tell me on these if you're already in them or not, or you're considering it. Okay. So again, this SLB here, I guess we looked at this already. So we kind of got that down. I see you asked it before. And HYG too, we looked at. Okay. So I got those already. So this just came in after you had already mentioned it up here. Okay. So we looked at those already. All right. All right. Because there's a little lag, anybody else, okay, before we sign off? So we added FICO to the watch list at this time. All right. I think that is it. Okay. So have a good one, everybody. And we'll see you back here next week. Thanks for coming and excellent picks. Ed, I think you take the trophy for today. You got most of them. Good job on that. And, we'll see how those do, right? So those look pretty good. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. See you next week. Have a great one.